Mhm. So I'm just going to read it.
Okay.
That's the easiest for me. Mm, I noticed that I regularly have thoughts that are limiting but not stressful. For example, I'm recovering from having worked so hard the last 7 years that I overworked both body and mind. One of the effects is that I have a hard time doing some things on my own, like administration for the nonprofit organization. And before, I never had a problem with that. At the same time, it doesn't really stress me. It feels like a fact that I just accept. I go with the thought that if I rest enough, it will solve itself. On the other hand, I can see it also limits me. And that too is not really stressful. It's part of the fact and limiting. So now I start to wonder whether I can become more free by doing the work on this kind of limiting but not really stressful beliefs. Or would that kind of wanting to be free be a motive that obstructs doing the work genuinely?
Great question. Very great. Very well thought out. So the limiting belief is I overworked my body and mind like for the past years, and so that thought, it limits you from doing things now because you don't want to overwork your body again. Am I understanding that correctly?
Um, yes and no, in the sense that it's really a fact. I mean, you can see the
Mm-hmm.
effects in my body and mind. So I really have to, it's like a burnout.
Right.
Well, so it's something that's real to my body and mind. And since I consider it a fact, just a matter of resting enough, and it's that.
Yeah. So the question is it really limiting you? Right?
Yeah, because I still want to do. I feel like, come on, yeah. I'm only 64.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can still do a lot of things,
So this is
and yeah.
This is a very interesting situation. It appears at first thought that the limiting belief is that I overworked my body, even though that's a fact, and it's keeping me from doing other things now. And it's not stressful because you also know the truth of it, and not,
Yeah, and because I allow myself to rest more now.
right, right,
Yeah.
right,
Uh, So
right. So it seems like a limiting belief because it's limiting you from doing more things, but it could be, but what I'm hearing is it's bringing balance. It's not, it does, you're not experiencing that as stress. And so
exactly.
the starting point for me of doing the work is looking for the stress because that shows me where the imbalance is. And if I'm not noticing stress in that particular regard, then even though it is limiting me, it may not be limiting me in a bad way because it's bringing balance.
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
just
Yeah.
not used to that. And so I probably wouldn't question that. It's sort of like when you're doing the work and you find a turnaround, that turnaround is is a new direction. And you can question the turnaround, but you may not need to question the turnaround. Maybe you need to take the medicine that the turnaround is giving for a while and then see where things go. Wait until some new stress starts to come up and then follow the lead of that stress to show you where you can question.
The interesting thing when you said about that limiting, those limits actually bring balance. That's interesting because apparently I don't have that mindset. Like, apparently, a limit is something bad to me.
Yeah,
Yeah. So for me,
exactly. So that's
that's
the
the
thought to
thing that is,
question.
yeah, yeah, I think so. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, to be limited is not a good thing,
that's right.
actually.
That's right. That's where you're arguing with reality a little bit because reality is this limit is bringing you rest and
Yeah.
it's not stressful, but there's still some thinking that oh, it's not good to be limited, so something's wrong.
But because at the same time, I use my situation to allow myself to rest. Because normally to be limited is not good. So now, because my body and mind just ask to be to be able to rest, I- that's what I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. So another piece of this, like another way that you can do the work is whatever that desire to do things, like the desire, any attachment to desire to keep doing things without limits, that's the one that I would start to question. Like, I need to finish this project, or I need to start this project. And then I would question that. Is it true? And then
Mm.
come to a place where it's like, okay, I'm not as attached to doing that project. I might still do it, but I'm not forgetting about, I'm not seeing the limit as a bad thing because I'm not going to
Yeah.
push beyond my balance point.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I overworked my body and mind is just a fact. You did. And it's limiting you because you don't want to do that again. And the body is sort of saying no. Um, but that may not be a bad thing. It's the only stress is if you believe you shouldn't have limits, or that if you're too attached to doing something that will put you back overworking. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great question.